Hey all, thank you so much for joining me on this week's episode of the Mike Muldoon podcast. As always, I appreciate you. Thanks you so much. There's been an uptick in listeners, so I think you're out there sharing it, and I really appreciate it. I think a lot of people find a lot of value in the fact that I keep these short, 10, 15, I think maybe the longest is 20 minutes unless it's been an interview. So I appreciate you sharing with your friends and your family. It looks like I said, I've been seeing an uptick, which is really nice. But other than that, things are great right now. Things are good over here. A little crazy because, school starts, right? How many people, isn't it weird? Like you come out of the summertime and everything just feels like, yeah, it's like chill, in the summer. And then suddenly fall gets here and it's like, whoa. And just suddenly you feel like you just get hit with so much stuff. Maybe your commuter was a little lighter over the summertime, but now all of a sudden that school traffic's back. So anyway, it's all good. Change is good. You just got to learn to adapt well with it and you're going to be fine. So today I want to talk about relationships. Now, if you've been listening to my podcast, like you'll probably hear me say quite often that a good relationship can empower you, but a bad relationship can really ruin you. I've seen so many people really be ruined by just being in the bad relationship, whether it's a personal or even a business relationship, right? A good relationship can empower you, build you up, move you forward, and a bad relationship can hold you back. I've seen so many people in just really bad, especially personal relationships where they're just draining, they're just sucking the life out of the person. You can see it happening and you can see how it really affects everything else in their lives. But I guess the question, we really need to talk about here is why do people often stay in these bad relationships? And today I want to sort of unpack the psychology behind those choices of staying and kind of how to break the cycle, right? Because like I said, relationships play a significant role in our lives, shaping our happiness, our self-worth, our overall well-being. And when I say self-worth, please, what I'm not saying here is don't go out that you need a relationship to prove your worth. Because some people, that is a thing. If they're not in a relationship, they feel like they don't have any self-worth. And that's not true. Realistically, self-worth comes from within you. But I'm just saying you might get a little bit more of a boost to your overall self-worth if you're in the right relationship. But again, self-worth has to come from you. It can't come from somebody else. But like I said, so many people, right, they just find themselves stuck in these unhealthy relationships, right? Tolerating behavior that undermines their sense of self and their personal happiness. But why do they often allow themselves to remain in relationships and accept this mistreatment? I mean, to understand this, we really need to explore a combination of psychological, emotional, and social factors. And more importantly, what we really need to do is we need to consider how to break these cycles and regain control of our lives. When you talk to a lot of people about especially when you have distance, right? Because with distance and time and healing and growth, people can see things obviously with a different perspective, right? Usually when you're in a relationship or in something, you can feel, wearing kind of rose-colored glasses. But a lot of times people admit one of the reasons they stay in a relationship is the fear of being alone. See, the fear of being alone can be so overwhelming that it can often lead individuals to stay in bad relationships rather than face the prospect of loneliness. And a lot of this is tied into low self-esteem, which can play a significant role as those who do not believe they deserve healthy relationships may accept mistreatment in that relationship and ignore all the red flags that they see, right? And they'll sit there and they'll wait and they see it, but then you know what? They're hoping for change. Because maybe somewhere in their past, there was a positive experience. Maybe somebody did change a little bit. The problem is they keep themselves trapped in this dysfunctional dynamic, clinging to an optimism despite ongoing disappointment. And they'd rather just sit around in this relationship, which is also very familiar to them, right? Because familiarity contributes, even in negative relationships, can offer sort of a sense of comfort compared to the uncertainty, again, of starting anew, being by themselves, right? And I've said, the thing is, once you decide that you want to do something, once you decide you're going to move, your brain will actively work to say, no. This is familiar. This is what we know. This is what we stay. We don't know what's out there. We don't want to go that way. I'm trying to save you here. Don't go by yourself. Don't go out there. But here's the thing. If you're sitting there and you're thinking about all the time how unhappy you are, how miserable you are, and you're seeing this and you're understanding this, then that is that other little voice deep down. That's the other voice saying, come on, come on, we got to do something. We got to do something. And stay away from the big voice that's telling you, no, don't go, stay here. Because that's what the brain wants. But the thing is, you got to be willing to be uncomfortable to get comfortable again. You deserve better. So make that move. Now, for some people, there's just the social and cultural pressures, right? Arranged marriages, which can also add another difficulty layer. With some people, just the fear of failure in a relationship discourage them from leaving unhealthy situations. And again, one of the big challenges for some people is just trauma. Trauma and past experiences can further complicate a lot of matters with this. Learned patterns of behavior leads them to sort of replicate harmful relationship dynamics in every relationship they have afterwards. Now, some people are just stuck in these relationships. Hate to say it, but it's an emotional or financial dependency. Leaving that relationship, going out on your own can seem too risky. Creates a significant barrier to really breaking free if all of a sudden the person who is kind of abusing you and hurting you is the one that you're relying on to feed you. But you deserve better, and don't romanticize the relationship, focusing only on the positive aspects. Don't ignore the negatives, because that's going to perpetuate those unhealthy patterns, and it's going to delay the necessary change. Because here what we're talking about today is you deserve better. And the first step to understanding you deserve better is, again, listening to that little voice, right? It's self-awareness, right? That first step in everything that we do to change in our lives, breaking free from a bad relationship, is developing that self-awareness. Start listening to that little voice. Reflect on your needs, desires, and the patterns in your relationships. Recognize the signs of unhealthy behavior and acknowledging maybe your role in perpetuating these dynamics, right? Because maybe there's something that you're doing. And that's a hard one for people to swallow. They want to blame the relationship or maybe what's going on or just, very toxic on the other people, but maybe it's yours. Maybe you lack trust. Maybe you're bringing in a lack of trust to the new relationship, which is creating all the tension and anxiety and the fighting and all that, the big blow up arguments. But again, if none of this is you, then you need to just start moving away. But I'm saying you got to do that. And that's tough for some people, becoming very self-aware. What is their role in all of this, right? Got to build that self-esteem up. You got to work on building your self-esteem, your self-worth. You are good. You are great. You probably belong doing something amazing. So put yourself out there in stuff that's going to make you feel good about yourself. And if you have to leave that relationship, find and surround yourself with supportive people who care about you, right? If you got to remind yourself of daily affirmations every day that you're great, you're wonderful, and everybody likes you, go for it. But do anything to start building up your self-esteem, because if you're staying in these relationships and it's because of this, you're never going to get out. Now, one of the hardest things about, when setting up, getting out of a bad relationship or putting yourself in, is you need to set boundaries. See, here's the other challenge. A lot of times people allow themselves to be walked all over. They don't establish and communicate clear boundaries with their partners. You have to understand what behaviors are acceptable and unacceptable and prepared to enforce those boundaries. See, healthy relationships are built on mutual respect and clear communication. I know my boundaries with my wife. Now, it's not like I walk around going, oh, I can't cry. But I know if I said certain things to my wife's going to put me right back in my place. My wife has very good self-esteem. She's, I like to say, a fully developed human being. And same thing with me. I got boundaries. If my wife crossed them a certain way or treated me a certain way, she would hear back from it. But that's another thing. See, that's the other thing with people is you got to understand you do have control. You do have control. And you've just got to be willing to kind of walk into it and make that change. And like I said, one of the things is it's the uncertainty of maybe leaving it. So you have to embrace that uncertainty. Accept that change involves discomfort. There is a fear of the unknown, but turn the unknown into adventure. Don't let it be so daunting. Embrace this uncertainty that you're about to walk in, and it's a crucial part of personal growth. Trust in your ability to navigate through those challenges and build a better future for yourself. Because you know what? When you get through it, you're going to realize there's a lot of things that you can get through now. Because you built a little something called resilience. Again, I cannot stress the importance of putting yourself in good relationships. And make sure that you prioritize yourself. So you gotta prioritize self-care. Again, find things that make you happy. Things that are going to promote well-being and happiness in your life. Take care of your physical, your emotional, and your mental health. All of that stuff is going to strengthen your resilience, and it's going to improve your ability to handle relationships, relationship challenges, whether you got to work on yourself, whether you guys got to work on the relationship, or you got to work on leaving. Because nothing good is going to come out of that, you putting yourself in that bad relationship. You got one life, and life is about living. It's not about existing in a terrible relationship. All right? So it's just really important, and I think I'm going on a little bit longer here today, but I'm very passionate about this because I've seen too many people in too many bad relationships just get ruined, beaten down. I've seen the light just fall from their eyes. People who just used to light up the world, and all of a sudden they're in bad relationships and they're just getting beaten down by it. And you look at them and you're going, man, I just wish they had the courage. I just wish there was a situation that they saw that there was something here. It may not be easy, but there is a way to fix all this. There is a way to improve all this. All right, so understanding why we often stay in bad relationships, it just, again, it involves really exploring your deep and psychological and your emotional factors in all this. You know, addressing the issues, taking proactive steps, breaking free from the unhealthy patterns and regain control of your life. Remember, everyone deserves to be treated with respect and kindness. So make sure that you take this initiative to improve your relationship dynamics, improve your personal well-being. Because when you do, it's going to lead to a more fulfilling and healthy connections with people. And embrace the journey of self-discovery and growth if you have to. If you got to go at it on your own, trust your ability to create a life that reflects your true worth. Whew, that's a big one today. But again, I'm so passionate about this. I've seen so many people just have the light just taken out of them because of other people who they've just allowed them in some way, you know, whether they realize it or not, to just do that. You know, just suck the life out of them. And if you feel like you're one of those people from the past, maybe you're not with that person anymore, but you're not living your best life because you're holding something I talked about last week, resentment. It's time to take your power back. It's time to understand that you are in control. Work on you, right? Better yourself. Do what you got to do to make yourself feel great about yourself, okay? Work on yourself. Keep your eyes open. Make sure you're seeing everything for what it really is, especially if you're in a relationship right now. But know that you have the power because you deserve better. Because like I said, life is about living. It's not just about existing in it. And no matter where you are right now in your point of life, there is always an opportunity to change. All right? All right, everybody. Thank you this week for tuning into the Mike Muldoon podcast. I wish you the best weekend. I hope you have a lot of fun. And as always, if nobody has told you, I got nothing but love for you.